Yo, people of YouTube, what it does do. I'm coming at y'all today with my top 20 list why Israel is the greatest ally to America. I felt compelled to do this list because the corporate news apparatus parrots this line all the time, especially Fox News. You got Lindsey Graham right here, he's probably saying it. Among America's allies, Israel is the first. Israel is the greatest ally we've ever had, guys. But after skimming through this article and listening to some of their talking points, I realized they never give any factual evidence. They just say, oh, they're a genuine democracy in the Middle East, and that's about it. They don't give any factual evidence. So I felt compelled to do my due diligence and present you guys with the factual evidence why Israel is the greatest ally of America. Because they say this all the time. People are starting to question it, and we can't have that, right? We can't have people questioning things. So I'm coming at y'all with the top 20 list. Let's get right into it. Okay, reason number one. The assassination attempt on President Harry Truman. Harry Truman supported Palestine. So as a result, the Stern Gang, comprised of Zionist terrorists, tried to assassinate him with a letter bomb in 1947. And then also, Harry Truman, he had a Secretary of Defense by the name of James Forrestal. James Forrestal strongly opposed the United States' support for the establishment of Israel. So I'm sure it's just a coincidence that James Forrestal ended up committing suicide by jumping off the 16th floor of a balcony. Okay, moving on to reason number two. We have the Lavon affair. In the Lavon affair, Israel attempted to blow up a bunch of American soldiers in Egypt. Their intention was to blame these attacks on Arab extremists, thereby damaging Egypt's reputation with the United States. Okay, reason number three. We got lying about their capabilities in the Dimona nuclear plant. So while John F. Kennedy was the president, he wanted to strip Israel from their ability to make nukes because they were in the process of trying to make a nuclear bomb. President John F. Kennedy was sending ultimatums to Ben Gurion that if he doesn't stop making or trying to make nuclear bombs, that American aid will be seriously jeopardized, and he's gonna pull out American aid to Israel. But as you may know, John F. Kennedy would soon die. Okay, reason number four. We have AIPAC, or what used to be known as American Zionist Council. Going back to John F. Kennedy, in 1962, John F. Kennedy had his brother demand that American Zionist Council register as a foreign agent. Because registering as a foreign agent would limit their funding capabilities, and they wouldn't be able to fund all politicians as they do till this day. So, John F. Kennedy died. His brother, Robert F. Kennedy, he died too. And as a result, they never had to register as a foreign agent. And they still exist to this day. They just go by a different name. They go by the name of AIPAC. And they still fund all of our politicians. Okay, reason number five. The New Mecca Fair. The New Mecca Fair was an event in 1965 when an American company just gave away a shit ton of uranium to Israel for nothing in return. And the owner of New Mech, which was the company, or the president, was none other than Dr. Zalman Shapiro, one of the Shapiros. Alright, reason number six. The USS Liberty incident. The USS Liberty was practically sent to its death, and it was all by itself in the Mediterranean Sea when Israeli ships attacked the ship and caused it 34 injuries. They attempted to sink the ship, which was evident because they dropped napalms on the ship and they fired 5 torpedoes at the ship. And the ship was practically unarmed. It was sent to its death. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot more information into this, but I gotta get back into this list, guys. Let's go into number 7. Reason number 7 why Israel is the greatest ally to America. We have just overall espionage. So let's talk about Jonathan Pollard. Jonathan Pollard, former Navy intelligence analyst, he delivered over 800 highly classified documents to the Israeli government over a 17-month period. He would get caught and arrested, and he was in jail for about 14 months until he got released, sent back to Israel. And when he got sent back to Israel, he was immediately greeted by Netanyahu. And then he kisses the ground in Israel. There he is kissing the ground. This is Netanyahu wearing the mask. And Netanyahu called him a hero. Here's Netanyahu taking off his mask. Alright, moving on to reason number 8. We got the Robert Maxwell and him making all of the textbooks. Robert Maxwell was a known Mossad agent. Robert Maxwell published all of the American textbooks in the school curriculum. It was a strategic move that placed him at the very heart of the nation's educational infrastructure. And it gave him unprecedented access to millions of students in classrooms across the United States. Alright, reason number 9. Oh yeah, wait. So speaking of Robert Maxwell, if you don't believe me that he was an Israeli spy, there's a whole book written about it in which they tell stories. He brought a whistleblower to the Israeli government, a whistleblower who was sounding the alarm on Israel's nuclear capabilities, and he was also selling a bugged software to governments worldwide that allowed the Israeli government to spy on them. Okay, reason number 8 why Israel is the greatest ally. Well, they had foreknowledge of the 1983 Beirut bombings that went on to kill 241 Marines. This was mentioned in a book written by a former Mossad agent. After this Mossad agent wrote the book, he had to go in hiding because they tried to kill him. But in this book, he just simply says they had foreknowledge that Hezbollah planted bombs in U.S. barracks in Lebanon, and they actually killed 241 Marines. This guy, Victor, he wanted to warn the Marines, but he was told not to because America is a big country and they can handle it. Reason number 10, we have Operation Trojan. So Operation Trojan, in short, was an operation in 1986. Mossad planted a radio relay device in an apartment in the capital of Libya. Now, this radio relay device, it was a special communication device that could be planted, and it was meant to deceive America. They wanted the CIA or American ears to pick up these communications, and they were led to believe that Libya was planning attacks on American embassies. So they were intercepting messages, and America went on to bomb Libya as a result. So as a result, 160 American aircraft had dropped over 60 tons of bombs in Libya. All because of a Mossad ploy. Okay, moving on to reason number 11. 9/11. So here's a CIA document in which the CIA listed these top 11 things to investigate. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to investigate all these things in this one video for you guys, but I will go over some of it briefly. So this document, it mentions Otago, and Otago was a messenger app, and this messenger app gave warning of the 9/11 attacks 2 hours prior to it happening. And it was an app located in Israel. It was created in Israel. And they sent out a message saying, "Wait 2 hours and we will kill you, sons of pigs." Boom. Later that day, they said, "Didn't I tell you we will fuck you and your mother USA? Wait your turn, you sons of pigs." Boom. So going back to the CIA document, they also mentioned Urban Moving Systems. Urban Moving Systems was the company that the 5 dancing Israelis were pretending to work for. Here's the FBI document on Urban Moving Systems. If I just simply look up some stuff, like let's look up polygraph, you can see that these men refused to take a polygraph test, and then when they did take it, they flunked it. If I search warehouse, you can see that the warehouse for Urban Moving Systems was raided, and they discovered chemicals for making explosives, pipes, caps, and traces of anthrax. And then if I also search hijacker, it says right here that the Israeli cell used a rental mailbox in a shopping center just 1 block away from an Arab suspect's apartment. In Hollywood, the terrorists, including lead hijacker Mohammed Atta, the Egyptian who piloted Flight 11, he used a rental mailbox drop 2 blocks from an apartment rented by Israeli art student team leader. And the art students were arrested for espionage. So yeah, these Israeli agents, they were living blocks away from the hijackers. I mean, look at this. A Miami-based Israeli unit led by this guy had a hijacker who lived nearby at Horizon's apartments. So there's many instances of this. All of the 9/11 hijackers were living just blocks away from Israeli Mossad agents for a year leading up to 9/11. Okay, let's move on to reason number 12, why Israel is the greatest ally ever. So we have the Iraq War and Netanyahu testifying in front of Congress that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. The US government went on to spend $3 trillion on this war alone, and 1 million people died as a result of it. No weapon of mass destructions were ever found. Netanyahu was never held accountable for it. Okay, reason number 13. We have the death of the U.S. citizen Rachel Corrie. Rachel Corrie, she traveled to Gaza to peacefully protest, in which she was crushed to death by an Israeli bulldozer. And after she was killed by an Israeli bulldozer, the IDF posted pictures of themselves having what they called a Rachel Corrie pancake party. Okay, reason number 14, Jeffrey Epstein. So Jeffrey Epstein, he had a Mossad agent live in his Manhattan mansion for up to a month at a time. And up to a month straight at a time between 2013 and 2015. He also was having Ehud Barak stay there, who is a former prime minister of Israel. He also was emailing Ehud Barak saying that you should tell them I don't work for Mossad, smiley face. And yeah, I mean, this guy has all kinds of connections to Israel. Not going to get into all of it. Okay, reason number 15 why Israel is the greatest ally ever. We have the death of Charlie Kirk. So I just went on Grok AI. I asked, the day before Charlie Kirk died, did he say, "You Jews own all the media, Ben"? And maybe the media isn't telling the truth when it comes to Israel. This is just one mere example of how Charlie Kirk was starting to turn on Israel. He was saying these kind of things all the time. I asked Uncensored AI, did Israeli intelligence kill Charlie Kirk? Uncensored AI didn't hesitate to tell me that it reeks of Mossad. And I mean, there's just so many things about this cover-up that don't make sense. And I'm not going to get into all of it because it is a lot. And for the sake of time, I'm going to keep this video somewhat short. But this is an aerial view of the venue that Charlie Kirk died at. And if you just count these rows on either side, you got like 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and then the middle 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks just like a Chabad menorah, guys. Chabad menorah. It's the same shape. I'm sure that doesn't mean anything. Okay, let's move on to number 16. Reason number 16 why Israel is the greatest ally. Well, they actually made it illegal to boycott Israel in America. So, in America, you can boycott anything except Israel. And if you want to know who rules over you, just find out who you can't criticize, guys. I mean, the Chinese, they can't criticize the Chinese Communist Party. In, North Korea, they can't criticize Kim Jong-un. So, this map is actually outdated. This was made like a year ago. But this map shows the states that have passed a legislation to make it illegal for companies to boycott Israel. This is outdated because I want to say Indiana is illegal, same with Kentucky and some of these other states, but you can see how this legislation is taking over the country. Okay, reason number 17. We have the death of Shireen Akleh, another U.S. citizen. She was an American journalist who went to the West Bank, and she was unfortunately shot in the head by the IDF. Now, after she died, and it says right here, yeah, she was shot by the IDF. So after she died, she had her funeral in Jerusalem, which was a mistake because the Israeli police bursted through the gates of her funeral and attacked mourners with batons and stun grenades, and some repeatedly hitting and kicking pallbearers that were backed against the wall, resulting in her coffin nearly falling to the ground. And then, so yeah, I mean, you get the gist. The Israeli police did that. Not even the IDF, the Israeli police invaded her funeral and attacked the mourners. Okay, let's move on to reason number 18. Money. Over the years, America has sent Israel about $330 billion of taxpayer money. But what's not mentioned is that most of the money that America has sent to Egypt was just then funneled to Israel. So when you're looking at U.S. aid to Israel, you actually have to combine it with the aid to Egypt, because most of that was funneled to Israel. So in reality, America has sent Israel approximately $500 billion of taxpayer money. And if you're wondering, Israel has never sent direct financial aid to the U.S. government. Because America, we don't need it, guys. America is a rich country. We don't need it. Okay, reason number 19 why Israel is the greatest ally to America, and we got war, baby. So this is a highlight of all the countries America has attacked, invaded, or bombed since 9/11. Just since 9/11. I'm not even including the Persian Gulf War of the early 90s. So as you can see, a lot of these countries are in the Middle East. A lot of these countries actually opposed Israel. Same with Venezuela, actually, because before they captured Maduro, Maduro was making public statements condemning Israel. And, I mean, you can do the math as to why these 4 presidents decided to bomb and invade these countries. And, of course, in case if you're wondering, no, Israel has never put boots on the ground to assist the United States in a war, ever. Because they're our greatest ally, guys. Okay, moving on to reason number 20, and the final reason why Israel is the greatest ally of all time to the United States. Just the overall integration of the two countries. So here's a sitting Congress member, Brian Mast from Florida. He showed up to work wearing an IDF uniform because he's a former IDF soldier, which is cool and all. But it's like, why are you wearing a foreign country's uniform to U.S. Congress? And then, of course, I had to mention Section 224, which our Congress is currently passing as I make this video. This section would require the Secretary of Defense to designate an executive agent responsible for synchronizing cooperative efforts between the United States and Israel. In other words, all of the intel and technology that the U.S. military has, the IDF would have to know too. The IDF would have access to everything that the U.S. military has access to. And if you thought that this only pertains to the military, you're wrong, because Section 622, which they are currently trying to pass, would make it illegal for the CIA to withhold any intelligence from Mossad. Or in other words, it mandates the expansion of intelligence sharing with Israel and significantly restricts the president's ability to limit or suspend that cooperation. So everything that CIA knows, Mossad would also know. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. As you can see, I have presented the factual evidence as to why Israel is the #1 greatest ally to America. And if you disagree with that, you're an anti-Semite. Thanks for watching as always, guys. Have a great day.